Hey guys, me Shadow, and this video is going to be about my thoughts after watching Kamen Rider Zetz episode 14. And I have to say, there's a lot to talk about. Now, first, I want to get out of the way about what I think is the most, what I like the most about the episode. and what I love the most, what I love most was when Baku's sister slapped Zero. Yeah, that was for me. That was the highlight. I didn't care about the power ups or anything like that. The sister slapping Zero for me was the most you know, like you awe inspiring. Just but one good slap of that. Slap. I thought it was really interesting. Okay. That's the most thing I enjoyed the whole episode. I thought that was that for me that was like the best thing that could ever happen in that episode. Okay, now let's talk about the episode. Now, the episode was kind of interesting because you learned a lot. Now, uh, you you first you learn that Ace, not Ace, sorry, Baku, uh, was was in a class taught by Nox. Now, what I think now in a type of classroom. Now, what I think this is I think that what this class was I think there were that Ko was finding people who could be agents and then the the use this class to secretly train them. After training them, they would then this is my opinion. After training them, they would then erase their memories and then send them back to raise them as sleeper agents. And depending on the situation, they would uh, I guess reawaken or or reveal it. Reveal it, right? Now, unfortunately, there is something I need to talk about. Yeah. Now, I have to change my theory because under the grounds that I'm actually starting to think that at first I watched the first episode. I thought Zero was evil, which I still kind of believe that he's mm, Zero is evil, but I don't think he's going to be the main protagonist, the main villain. I do. Do I think that Zero may be a villain? Yes. Do I think he's going to be the main villain? Uh, After watching episode 14, yes. Yes, I after watching episode 14, yes, I think he has potential to be the villain, but I don't think that's how it's going to go. Okay. Um, let's go. How I think it might go is that I think Code is going to be split into two factions. One is the Zero faction, and the other faction is going to be the Nox faction. It's going to be the Nox. It's going to be Nox. Now, the reason why, and you're probably asking, well, like why do you think he might be the final villain? Might be the might not be the major villain at the end, and just a normal like arc villain, right? The reason why I think this is because the way I see it is, I have a feeling that Nox, I did not Nox, sorry, my mistake. Um, Zero, oh, the reason why I thought I thought Zero was the main villain was because I just felt like he was kind of manipulating everyone, which I do agree that he was and is doing that. I mean, you just look at how he treats the sister and stuff, right? But I don't think he's gonna be the main villain. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but the feeling I get from Zero now at the beginning, I knew that not that I beginning was that he was not being 100% honest. honest. But I think that the final villain at the end is not going to be but but actually Code, the organization. Like no, like the organization itself is going to be the final villain. Yeah, I have a feeling that's what it's going to be, and I think that at some point, this is what I think is going to happen. First I should explain what I thought was going to happen and what I think is going to happen now. Now, what I originally thought was going to happen was that Zero, right, Code, Ode, and Zero were like had an illusion that they were aligned, but they're not. Okay, no, fine. I'll just explain it bit by bit. Okay, no, the original thought was this. I thought that Code was going to be like the stage villain, right? Like the one, like an arc villain, not the final villain at the end, but just an enemy for an arc or for one or two arcs. Then Zero would reveal himself, right? Right? He's like, hey, you thought I was your friend? No, I'm not. I was the mastermind. I was manipulating you, and not only manipulating you, but Nox as well, and Nem, and Code. I'm the mastermind behind everything. I controlled everyone. You were all puppets. I give you all roles, and you played them perfectly, right? And then and then Baku. Right? That's what I thought it was gonna go, right? And then Zero and Baku fight, right? So like and then they do the traditional Kamen Rider thing where like Baku's like, oh, where like Baku's like, I believed in you, you know, I completed all your missions, and then they fight each other in the rain or something, and right, and then Zero's like, it's like, and Zero just is kind of like bad guy, final bad guy at the end who thinks he's right, and he's like, it's like I believed in you too for a time, and they're saying this while punching each other, right, or like fighting, right, but right, and well, like and then the bad guy would say his bad thing like, oh, I also believed in you for a time, but that time has expired or whatever, or something along that line, right? That's what I thought. But after watching 14, I actually have a different opinion now. I think that there's going to be, uh, right? I think Ode, Ode, right? Now, there are two scenarios. I'm going to explain them both, okay? There are two scenarios, right? So that was the old one. Now I have two scenarios. Two scenarios. One of them is the same. Zero is the bad guy at the end, final bad guy at the end, but it goes about differently. Basically, what it is that in this version, because it's similar to my first one, I'm going to explain that one first. Basically, what is it? The theory is that essentially Zero is again like the first one is the final villain at the end, but there's a difference. Now here, Code is not evil. Evil. It's not evil. Evil. In fact, the only cold one, the only evil one, is actually Zero. Now, now in this theory, what it basically is that Code is exactly what it is. It's honest, true, trying to beat nightmares and stuff, and it was just right. So they're good guys, right? And Zero, oh, is the only true villain, right? So Code isn't evil. They're not the bad guy, not true bad guys. They're just big. They're just were extremely misunderstood by Nox, right? Right. So eventually, what I think happened is that Nox, while doing on a mission, Nox got into some type of experimental accident, and that accident trapped him in the world of dreams, right? And Nox, um, right, and because no one came to save him, right, or no one could save him. I don't know. I don't know if I don't know which one it is, but I said both just be certain. Could save him. So I think Knox came to the conclusion that maybe he was being discarded, right? I'm not saying he that they did, but maybe he a misunderstanding occurred, which made him kind of made I mean a misunderstanding happening, which I don't know what it could be. Maybe like a mission or like a hidden file or something. But basically, it was insinuated that maybe he could be disposed of, and that I don't know, kind of like in his heart spooked him to the point where if anything goes wrong, that's what it is, right? So he thought so. Knox thought that he was expendable, right? So whatever happened, Knox realizes he can't escape, and believes that maybe he is expendable, right? He's no good anymore, right? And then because of that, maybe then Knox was because of that Knox misunderstood the code, and then Knox thought that he was trying to dispose of, and then that caused Knox to become because he became vengeful and dark, which would led out which what caused Knox to not want to appear. I guess I'll just say appear. You know? Right. And then, but so besides that, everything unfolds the same as the first three. Now, the second three is the one where I actually kind of want to see where now this is the one where Zero is the main enemy. Again, but it's a little different. Now, no, in this form, Zane is not Zero is not the main enemy. Code is, Code is what's evil, right? So I think that Code is going to eventually come to two factions. One is the the be the Zero faction. Now this is the now Zero faction is the good faction, the faction that wants to essentially use the power of nightmares, right? Capture nightmares and do all the experiments and stuff. But I think that maybe in a more humane way, you know, or something like that. That's what I think, right? And that is what uh right is Zero, and the other one uh right. So the faction is interesting, right? So what was I saying? Oh yeah, right. So in this the first version, Code was the main villain. So in this version, Code is the main villain, and and not Knox. Zero is a man that is wanting to create his own division, right? So with all his like special stuff to be like his own division. So basically, a faction. Let's call it a faction. I think better just call it a faction, right? So in the story is like Code has is the main bad guy. Like he's the bad guys, right? The evil plot, disposable thing, right? That's Code, right? But Code has another faction within it. That's I would call it for this right the Zero faction, where Zero is not a villain. In fact, he is a good guy, and Code is actually the bad guys, and Zero is just what you feel is like you know by presence and stuff. What you think like is casual is actually just a giant warfield, and or that's what they manifest it as, and causing it to essentially collapse. So eventually, okay, everyone like the layman's terms, it's just like this. Okay, Knox, no, sorry, uh, sorry, I'm tired. I haven't got any sleep. Sorry, so my mind's kind of. Anyway, uh, basically code bad guys. Zero creates his own faction, right? And eventually, and that's how, and creating his own faction to beat Code. But Zero knows that Code is strong, so he has to, I guess, toughen up Baku. Ooh, right? So that nothing those beings do can hurt him, right? Or at least something along that line. On that line. So essentially, what happens is like Z- Zero pretends to follow, orders, and then that's. But he couldn't break his cover because then he'd lose, all his resources. So what do you do? You, I guess, recruit. Sorry guys, I didn't get any sleep, so my mind's like really slow. Right. Anyway, so essentially, what it is. Let me get a little bit of juice to help me energize. Mm. Then go good. Anyway, right. So Zero uh, is against Code. Zero, but because of, I don't know what happened with Knox, caused a misunderstanding, right? Which causes a rift with Baku and Nox and all this other stuff. But then later down the line, when everything is revealed, uh, I'm assuming they're probably within 3 to 5 episodes. What's what probably happening is when it's all revealed, they're gonna be like, "Oh, why didn't you tell me?" Blah blah blah, and then Zero, then and then Zero teams up with uh Nox, Baku, the detectives, uh, Baku's sister, you know, and that explains the opening where you see like Baku with his sister, Nox, and the detectives, right? So then it turns into like Zero versus Code, Zero's team versus Code the organization, right? That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry for the long and Dragons thing. Like I said, I haven't slept, so my mind's like kind of woo, right? So that's my theory so far. And as for the accidents that Baku has gone through, I I don't, right. So uh if you watched episode 14, you know that Baku has the power to manifest nightmares. So here's the thing. I think that the accidents that occur, er, that Bakus is talking about, is actually that that Bakus just talks about, all the accidents or helping people. I'm starting to think that those accidents are actually all nightmares. Uh, Nightmares. So Baku would, I think, what happened is like Baku, after Baku helps someone, maybe he subconsciously would create a nightmare, and that nightmare becomes reality because that's what Baku's power is, or at least that's what they claim it is. They claim it is. Uh, they claim it is. Yes. Yes. But I seriously think, I think all the accidents that the sister says Baku has gone through are all nightmares that he has manifested into the real world, and then right, and then I guess surviving because he can't, because I'm pretty sure those nightmares can't kill him because he's the one who manifested it, or something around those lines. At least that's what I'm going for now. And I think that's about it in terms of plot. Now I want to talk about some of the things. I want to talk about the plasma orb, the capsule, right? Uh, I want to say I love the plasma form for one reason. Two words: Sonic Arrow. I love the Sonic Arrow weapon. I loved it since it first appeared in Gaim. It's obviously a very popular weapon because they always bring that weapon back. They brought it back, I think, in 01, right? Uh, and we saw it, here. I love the Sonic Arrow. I know it's not called Sonic Arrow, but I love the Sonic. My favorite weapon is the Sonic Arrow. Fell in love with it when I watched Gaim, and when him pulling it out, a Thunder version, right? Sonic Arrow. Man, I thought it was flipping amazing. I loved it. But guys, let's be honest here. Okay, the plasma capsule. Okay, I'm gonna say it. You may disagree, but I'm gonna say it. Okay, it's the Flash. It's the capsule. The plasma capsule is essentially the Flash. When he activates it, the first thing he does, boom, super speed, and super speed thunder. Come on, let's be honest. Speed Force Flash. Let's be honest, okay? Let's be honest here, okay? It's essentially the Flash. He turns into essentially the Flash with a Thunder Sonic arrow. Arrow, arrow. But despite that, I have to give him props because honestly speaking, in order to finally defeat Nox to to cause his redemption arc to make his redemption arc, he has to find a way to overpower or null the erase capsule, right? So making him fast, making him basically the Flash, making him so fast that the erase capsules can't hit him. I think it is very clever in terms of how to, I guess, block the erase capsule. Oh man, mango juice is good. Anyway, and as for the fear that what uh the fear that Noxus has, I actually think it's actually the fear of not being wanted by anyone, right? Here's the thing. I know because the detective says that he was very that Knox is a very caring person and that he was helping other people, but I think that was under the fear that if he didn't do help be the helpful guy that no one would want to be around him or something around that because when you watch the preview it says I preview so I so what I think happened is I don't know something happened that made Knox kind of kind of have like the misunderstanding that he's going to be discarded, right? And I believe like I don't know if being discarded by the agency is what it is, or discarding in general. I have a feeling it's discarding in general, but I can't say for certain. Certain, something happens. So I am kind of curious to see what his actual fear is, but I actually feel like it's some abandonment. But I also could feel that the abandonment that because I think the resentment that he has for Zero was like, hey, you agents, pick each one you want, and I think that's due to a misunderstanding that may have occurred to him on a mission, or shortly after teaching the kids. But I just can't get the feeling, right? Uh, that Nox is definitely gonna have that whatever Nox is suffering from, whatever trauma Nox is, because he's obviously because you watch the preview, he's obviously has some type of trauma, right? It's trauma, and I don't know what it is, but I think if, but I think it's, but I don't know, the thing is, I don't want to say because I don't know if it's like intentional or you know, uh, I don't know if it's like intentional or just kind of flimsy. But anyway, I still think it'll be interesting and right. Well, I still think it's interesting stuff. But here's the thing. I have a feeling I'm not wrong, but I don't. But I have a feeling I'm not right either. Like it's some type of like in between. I know that doesn't make sense, but I really do feel like that's the case. Right. Right. And yeah. Hmm. Right. So it's very interesting. So is there anything else? Uh. Yeah. Oh, there's also one thing I'm actually curious about. It's about Baku's dream power. I'm kind of curious as to why the Ko chose Baku to fight the nightmares. I know he has the power. I know one of his powers apparently is to manifest nightmares into reality, and at least that's what's according to the guy, right? But I mean, the reason why but I think there's going to be something universal or like some type of spiritual. And the reason why is because when you watch episode 14, the platform in which you that Baku and Rem appear on, it looks a lot like the inner stadium of from Kamen Rider Gates, right? So it makes me wonder if out of everyone, because the only way I can see it, how I see it, is is that Baku is going to end up being some type of deity. Yeah, and the reason why I think that is because at the beginning of episode 14, when he enters his own nightmare, the platform he's standing on looks something similar to Kamar Geats. You know where the where that girl with the white and black dress usually hangs out, right? So I'm wondering if there's going to be something darker or like something more, you know, than just we erased your memories, right? So we can use you as a secret agent later, which is true, I think, but I think Baku holds a really dark secret. I mean that like there's no proof of it. I think that the fact that the first when he enters the gym and he appears on a stadium that looks awful lot like the waiting room area of you know where Tatsumi or whatever hangs out. Yeah, like that stadium, the real that appears. It just feels like something like that, right? But I'm really curious to how how much of what I say is true, how much is false, or maybe everything I say is BS, which is it probably is. But it's fun. It's one things I like about theory crafting is you never know what can lead you to how to being right. Anyway, let's see if there's anything else. Yeah, I talked about Baku. I talked about because the gates I think to me Baku maybe may have some deeper secret. Type of zero. I mentioned sister slapping zero. Yeah, I think that's about it. Anyway, hope you guys had fun listening to my theories, and maybe you agree with some of those things I said, which would be great because I would love to discuss uh, those things. Anyway, hope you guys had a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys next time. And yeah. Oh, and for those who are wondering why I took down the Idol Slayer videos, it was essentially because I'm planning to start over. Yeah. Well, like I said, I had two, I'm trying to set up a cheat playthrough so that I can play on my phone, and I was getting confused between the cheat the cheat playthrough and the normal playthrough. Which no, by the way, the cheat playthrough is the one I plan to play on my phone, and the fair square 100 fair square playthrough is what I'm going to be doing for the channel. And I kept getting confused, so I just started to delete everything and start over. As for when I'm actually going to uh, start the Slayer, I'm probably gonna put it on hold for a while. Well, because I'm right now I'm working on the. I want to focus on the Monster Hunter shit, and yeah. Well, anyway, I'll see you guys next time. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see ya. I'll say goodbye. Bye. Have a great day.